Thursday Night Live. It used to be Monday Night Live, but we've just had a scheduling change. Um, Thank you all for tuning into the show tonight. I'm so glad that you have followed me from Monday to Thursday. But in the few people that I've talked to about changing the day, it seemed like a lot of people like this day better than Monday. Um, I think I'm going to like it a lot better. Every Monday evening, it would be like, oh my God, I got to do the thing. Wait, oh my God, I got to do the thing. And, this kind of lets me roll into it. And because I'm rolling into it and I'm flowing into it, that's our topic this week, being in the flow. We've all had moments of being in the flow when we're busy doing something and we're so engrossed in the process that time just slips by. So one of the things I've been working on is redesigning my webpage, which you can all go and check out. Soulhealer.com has a whole new look and feel, same great material, but new look and feel. I think it looks amazing. Um, and I was just really having a good time working on it. And so there were days that I was working on it till 10 o'clock at night, even though, I was supposed to be like resting and taking care of myself. But in between my cursing at the computer and getting pissed off, I was having a really good time and time just flew by. I was in the flow. Um, and when we're in that place, we don't have any worries or fears or anxiety. We just have high energy emotions that carry us through. Okay, it doesn't mean that you don't curse at your computer when you're working on your web page stuff or computer things, but that's not worry or anxiety or fear. Uh, and sometimes things are going on and we just get really caught up in our brain. We're trying to solve a problem, and I'm sure this has happened to everybody. It's like you're talking about something and then you're like, oh, that actor or this person, and you just can't think of their name. And then, you kind of let it go and move on to something else, and bam, their name comes into your mind. It's like because you got back in the flow, or you're trying to solve a problem and you just can't figure it out, and you just take a step aside and walk away from it and, go wash dishes or go watch TV or go to sleep. And, in the middle of the night, you wake up and you have the answer to your situation. It's because you finally let go of what you were holding on to and that expectation and that pushing to resolve something, and just allowed energy, your life force energy, that divine inspiration that comes in through the top of our head from source and through our body to flow naturally and organically. One of the other things that can really like mess up our ability to be in the flow are negative emotions. When you're feeling angry or frustrated, or, you're just having a bad day, it's like that can totally knock us out of the flow. It's like we know that we're stuck. We know that we got bad mojo, and we're trying to figure out ways to change it and ways to shift it. But one of the things that happens is that when we're out of the flow, um, you can't force it, because it just doesn't work. It actually just makes everything better. One of the things, and this, I'm going to say this word and you'll be like, yeah, right. How am I going to do that? Is to just surrender to it and go, okay, this is where it is now, and move on. Um, because you can't force it. You can't force yourself back into the flow. Now, one of the things you can do, excuse me, is to do things to have your mind focus on something else. So if you want to be in the flow, but you find that you're not, doing things like meditating or spending a little bit of mindful time breathing. Always joking around about like breaking the yard or cleaning the bathroom and doing those kind of things. But tapping, doing yoga, going for a walk, hugging a tree, it really doesn't matter. The purpose of any of those things is to take your mind off of, okay, I'm trying to solve this problem, and shift it to something else. And what you shift it to doesn't matter at all. It just means you are taking your energy and your attention and all of that, like, I'm sending this all of my attention, and you're moving it over here, which gives all of this that is now like constipated energy a chance to release and a chance to get back into the flow, allowing you to get back into the flow. Did you like that constipated energy? That just kind of came out of my mouth because I'm in the flow. One of the things that I love about doing this show is there are some days where I'm like, I'm all right, I'm here. But I have to tell you, when I am done, I am always charged and recharged because being here with you and answering your questions just brings me joy and always puts me into the flow. And when our goal is to stay in that place, to stay in alignment, our lives can just be in general happier. um, and it gives us the opportunity to endure challenges that we might face, um, because we're not hanging on to a situation, we're just going with it and allowing it to go wherever it's going to go, whether we know what that is or not. Because when we're in the flow, when we're in alignment, we're more connected to source, we're more connected to divine inspiration, um, and it makes it so that we can live a healthier life, a much less stressful life. um, when my kids were youngish, I had a job working in Dallas at this outdoor concert place, doing security, and my spot was taking care of these corporate seats just to the right of the soundboard. I had to like think about it, to the right of the soundboard. And even though you weren't supposed to do this, if they had a good band on, like there would be days that I would get there and I'd be like, I'm gonna kill my kids, I'm gonna kill everybody, die, die, die. And the music would start and I would start popping and bopping. And even though like they frowned upon you dancing in your spot, they didn't pay me enough money to not dance. And it was like therapy for me because I would leave kind of like doing this show and be in such a good space, and it would put me totally back in the flow. It lets you get rid of all of your negative energy, it reduces your stress and makes it so that, when you have those periods where you're stress free, where you feel grounded, where you feel calm, you know, it just feels good. It opens the door to having happiness in your life or joy or bliss, you know, um, contentment, all of those good feelings that feel better than being stressed out, anxiety filled, and cranky. Um, so I hope that you will take some of what I've said to heart and really think about what's going on with you and the idea of keeping yourself in alignment, keeping yourself in the flow, because the more you do it, the better you are going to feel. Okay, so we already have like a whole bunch of comments, and I know I'm not muted, so that's a good thing. Uh, but I just want to remind everybody, one, go check out my newly designed webpage, soulhealer.com. While you're there, if you're interested in getting a private consultation with me, send me a message, schedule a session. That's up to you. You can also sign up for my newsletter that'll keep you informed of things that are going on in Dr. Rita Land. You can also go to my Facebook page, and that would be Dr. Rita Louise on Facebook. So not Rita Louise, but Dr. Rita Louise, where you see my shining face and not the poodle with the tinfoil hat. Or if you're more of a YouTube person, please go to my YouTube channel, Just Energy Radio on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos, do all those YouTubey things for me. I would really appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to change over to here and kind of look at what all we got going on. And so I'm just going to say hi to people and kind of move on. So we have Lucy, who says she was going to share a story with us. So hopefully she's still here. Okay, so Lucy wants to know. So she's going to share a story. And yes, you would have to share it via text. There is no call-in number. Oh, and Brittany. So Brittany and I exchanged a couple of messages on Facebook, and she's here today. And Miss Debbie is here. Hey, Debbie. And Adrian. And expansiveness of light and expansiveness of light. I will come back. Oh, that's Brian. We got Gina and Ufi and Momo. And I'm, like I said, I'm just saying hi to people. Hey, David. Oh, and we already have our first bot person. We have Babble, blah, 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 who wants to give Dave Perry a reading. Hey, spammer, but I really don't want to spend a lot of time on you today. So just please ignore. We have Jennifer in the house. We have Mary. Man, we got like a big old group in here today. We got Mary and the bot. Okay, so let's see. Going back up to the top. Okay, so Lucy, whenever you want to post your story, I'm just going to go through here to respond to any questions. So if you have a question, you know, and it doesn't have to be a question about like a psychic reading thing. You could ask, what's a chakra? Or what do you think about ancient aliens or some ancient mystery? Or what do I think about ghost hunting or ghost phenomena? I have a lot of years of packing tons of freaking information in my brain. And this is your opportunity to pick my brain. So it doesn't have to be about a reading, but I love doing readings. But I'm just putting that out there for everyone that's here. Okay, so we have Brian, expansiveness of light, and his question is, would like to know what is the root cause of digestive issues. Okay, so Brian, I'm going to go with, when you talk about digestive issues, more stomach issues versus intestinal issues. So in Chinese medicine, the stomach has to do with taking in energy from the outside world and bringing it into you. And there are a lot of people who don't want to do that, and it's not about receiving as in receiving a compliment. It's about, I don't want what you have to give. From an energetic perspective, many times it will appear as if, and even functionally, that there is constriction in the stomach muscles. And so there's not that peristaltic action happening. Also when you're talking about digestive, stomachy issues, there's stress, and to me, stress is this giant word that covers anything that's going on personally with you in that moment. So when I work with a client, I don't just say, stress. I get very specific of what the core belief is or what the core emotional energy is that they're holding on to that is creating the stress in the first place. I mean, other issues are having a liver gallbladder issue. You don't have digestive juices moving real well into the stomach area, as well as some pancreatic insufficiency. So I know I'm just kind of talking general. If you have a more specific question, I would be happy to respond to that. Okay. So let's see. So Brittany says, Well said. That's great advice. Take a step back and let go of the problem. Yeah, Brittany, that is really it really is what it's all about. Okay, so I'm going to share with you, which this is the first time I'm sharing this really in public. I'm working on a new book. I'm going to say it's over halfway written, that really addresses this topic about what's going on inside of me, so and what can I do to live a happier life. And my observation has been the material that I'm talking about is discussed in different areas, but they have a very different focus. And so, and this book kind of follows up to, is a follow up to my dysfunctional dance of the empath and narcissist, where I really looked at that toxic relationship dynamic. And one of the things I learned more recently is, you can be in that dynamic and say, oh, well, they're a narcissist, but why did you stay? What's going on inside of me that caused me to stay? And what can I do to be happier? That's my goal. That has been my goal for over a year now, is what can I do to have a happier, more joy-filled life, or at least experience contentment versus anxiety and stress. So, and writing this book is me sharing that journey with you. So, I'll keep you up to date on how that's all going. Okay. All right. So, Brittany says, this is speaking to me a lot. Thank you for this. Okay. So, Lucy says, Kidmit, my name is Flo Flora. Okay. Hi, Flora. And then Momo says, hello, Miss the Just Energy Radio Show. So I'm Dr. Rita Louise. Uh, so many good, informative, interesting, and fun interviews. And thank you so much. I've been doing this for a long time. So people that don't really know me, I mean, I had a podcast for 10 years. A lot of the interviews are available on YouTube, where I got the opportunity to interview some of the most fascinating people and some of the big names in a lot of, alternative thought topics. How's that? All right, so let's see. And so Ufi put, yes, yes, nice not to be muted. Oh my God. Yeah. I even have a note that says mute. Wait a minute, where did it go? Mute. But do you think I even read my own note? No, just ended up being muted anyway. So Jennifer says, hello, my friend. Love what you said about flow. So good. All right. So Debbie wants me to block the bot. And because this is a public event, I can't, and Cindy, who's not here tonight, who is our official bouncer, she, that was her job, and she wasn't even able to do that. And so sometimes I just get in the mood to just be mean to them. And now I just am like, I'm going to ignore them because they don't even have energy. I know, Mary, the spammers are back. Um, I think it's interesting. So, this is what's coming up if you're not following the feed. And it's interesting because I will just sit here and blatantly talk about them and not really say anything particularly nice. And in all of the ones that have been here, only one actually said something, which tells me they're not paying attention, they're not here, or they're just some kind of, computer bot. Man, persistent. Okay. So Brittany's question is, how can I conquer my phobia about taking my medications? Um, And Brittany, I don't normally go here because my belief is that we already have like a bunch of weird stuff going on in this life um, to necessarily go here. But I'm feeling like you have some past life thing that comes up with the concept of swallowing. And it's not about the medications, it's about the swallowing big chunks. So I'm hoping that when you do have to take medication, you know, I mean, one of the things that you can do is open it up, crush it up, mix it with a spoonful of applesauce and just suck it down, because then it's not the pills or the capsules might taste gross, but it would be a way of getting it down. Um, so at least you're taking the medication. Um, one way, if you really want to address the phobia, is to do kind of, and I talked about this a little bit, but to just spend some time, in a mindful place, put the pills out, have the glass there with whatever you're going to wash it down with, and then stop, and close your eyes and do some conscious breathing or do some tapping, or say a mantra, something, anything that works for you to get your body back into a relaxed place. Because at this point in time, you see the pills, you see the glass, and your body automatically is going into fight or flight, which is shutting everything down. But by doing a meditative slash mindful type practice, it activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which turns off the fight or flight. And it makes your body relax and it makes your mind relax and calm down. So maybe try that, one pill at a time, a half a pill, if it's a pill, make them into small pieces so that you can retrain yourself in a more grounded place, that it's okay and you're not going to die. Okay? Okay. Brittany's just like loaded with questions today. Okay. So she asked, what are angels like and is it hard to work with them? So I don't really work with angels. I mean, they're around. I'm not going to, um, so, I more relate to the concept of spirit guides than angels. And I joke around and say that my spirit guides are the best backseat psychics on the planet, because if I'm in the middle of a reading, if I'm talking to somebody, they'll be like blah 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 blah, tell them this, and it's like, okay. But then if I ask them, it's like, well, what about this? It's crickets. They say nothing. They're really kind of annoying. So then I go, okay, you're not going to tell me anything. So then I start talking, and then they're like, oh wait, don't tell them that. They make me laugh. Um, one piece of advice, there have been people that have advocated calling your angels in, and especially calling your angels in when you're not in the flow, when you're in a bad place, where your mojo's bad, where you're in your rabbit hole. And this is my piece of advice. And please, anyone that wants to work with their angels, hear me. Don't do it. Do not do it. When you call a invisible being in to help you, but you're in a bad place, sometimes what comes to you is really Fred the janitor from Zeta Reticula. And in that moment, in your despair, they might seem like they have higher and brighter energy, and they might give you great information because they lie and manipulate. But then when you're back in the flow, your energy is higher than theirs, and now you can end up being stuck with them. And I don't really want to scare anybody, but it happens. And so I would suggest just don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. All right, Brittany. So I'm going to answer this one, and then because you're in order, because you're just kind of rattling them here. Okay, so Brittany wants to know, when did I discover I had a psychic gift? And so I wanted to. Okay, so when I was like 12 or 13, there was a TV series, two of them, called one was The Amazing Kreskin, who was a mentalist who had ESP, who was fascinating. And then there was a TV series called The Sixth Sense that featured Gary Collins, who was a parapsychology professor, and he had ESP too. And I wanted to have ESP. So I started reading books and I studied astrology and tarot. And if it seemed metaphysical, and I could find a book, that was what I did. But I didn't really feel particularly psychic. Actually in seventh grade, okay, so this was in Catholic school. This didn't go over real well. I did a experiment board testing to see if people were psychic because I found this book that like had this test, and I scored like a 70 on it. And so I made this experiment board and I didn't even get an honorable mention. I think they were pretty appalled. But then I did stuff on the theory of evolution and they didn't like that either. So anyway, um, and so it wasn't until much later on that I found the Berkeley Psychic Institute and studied with them. And after being in their clairvoyant program for 3 weeks, I realized that I had been very psychic my whole life. And knowing things like what's in that box that's a Christmas gift, or other things like isn't just regular stuff, it's psychic stuff. But no one ever said, oh, when this happens to you, you're having a psychic experience. So that's my story. All right. Thank you, Brittany. Okay, so Chris Karp asked, been offered a new job at my company, unsure of what to choose, lateral move. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. I mean, I feel like, um, and please correct me if this is incorrect, but this is the feeling that I'm getting. I feel like we're on the path you're on now. It kind of maxes out and caps out after not all that long. But if you take this lateral move over here, the growth path is much higher. And over time, you will have the opportunity to move up a bigger ladder. Where if you stay where you're at right now, um, there's only so much more that you can move up. And I feel like if you stay in this chain, they won't move you. It's kind of like you're in a really good spot right now where this is coming up for the lateral move. Um, my feeling is I would just go ahead and take it. That's my feeling. But please follow up with me. Okay, so Ufi wants to know, what do you think about your possible existence in multiple parallel universes, dimensions concurrently, and sharing thoughts via some sort of quantum entanglement? Ufi, you always have like these really hard questions. Um, I don't really think about it, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm just being real. I really don't think about it. Um, I tend to like to stay inside the confines of this three-dimensional world, even though I allow things to come through. Um, from Indian cosmology, and I have to sit here and think about this. Okay, so in Indian cosmology, Brahma, the god of this universe, of this dimension, was born in a bubble from the navel of Indra. And when you look at the imagery, there are all of these bubbles floating around. And so it would not surprise me that there are multiple universes and multiple existences happening, but the earth existence is the earth existence because, you know, and I'll use a Star Trek terminology, we live on a class M planet and we're designed to live on a class M planet, and Brahma is the one who controls all of the things that that are this dimension. And so if there was a parallel dimension, but it was based on different principles, then it wouldn't be the same as here. Yeah, I mean, you sit there and you think about it, and it's kind of like screws with your mind. And that's probably why I don't think about it a lot, because we don't know. And we don't know. And anything, I really just don't like to speculate unless there is some piece of evidence, and so Brahma or Indra, with these multiple bubbles and multiple assuming universes, provides me with a little piece of evidence. But after that, there's just not really, anything other than people that are channeling information, and I'm sorry, I just have issues with that personally. So, and so my cat is down here, and usually he's not in this room, and he's kind of driving me crazy. Creepy. Okay, so Brittany is back. Okay, she's asking about dead people. Hopefully I'll answer. Okay, do spirits, dead people, live on such a plane of existence that they are able to see the past, present, and future? I don't know. I ain't dead. You know, I don't really talk to dead people. So, interesting question. I mean, there are those people that say they do because they're outside of time. They're outside of our time. I do believe that they are able to exist in past, present, and future. So I guess that would mean they would be able to see past, present, and future. So maybe I just answered your question, but from what I know, I don't know. Okay. So Miss Jennifer, my son is off playing baseball, that is. He says he is having some bicep pain. I know his biggest fear is hurting his arm. Is his physical pain or psychological? What can I do to help him? When I focus, I can feel some of his pain. Can I do something? Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Okay, hang on. Let me tune into what's going on. Okay. So I feel like the basis of what's going on is definitely physical pain. I feel like the muscles are just really contracted and knotted. I'm going to make the assumption, and if this isn't the case, then here's some information. But I'm going to make the assumption that there are trainers and doctors that are working with him, massaging that tissue, having him do, like do heat and ice, and doing those kind of physical therapy kind of things. Although when I look at it, I mean, and this is weird, and maybe they don't have that level of service, because I feel like he should be a lot better at this point in time. So if there isn't that level of service, or that he can't really get that level, he needs to like work on massaging that muscle, and then icing it. I mean, that's the more important thing: massage and ice, massage and ice. Um, and it's not helping that he's stressing about it. How I was sitting there talking about being in the flow, he's not being in the flow when he's stressing about it. So if he could just kind of be with it and accept that it hurts, you know. All right, so I'm going to throw out an advanced thing, and Jennifer, I think you'll hear this, And I've talked about it with some people in here, and it's about grounding. So grounding is creating a like a giant bathtub drain, either from your first chakra at the base of the spine to the center of the planet, which then would be a grounding cord. But you can create a grounding cord in the middle of your house, and you can just kind of set your intention that you are like lifting the bathtub drain and allowing all the funky energy leave you or leave your house or whatever. Jennifer, also, if you can transmit this piece of information, have him imagine he has this grounding cord, this giant drain coming off the bottom of his arm down to the center of the planet. I'm just, hang on one second. Actually, if he like put it like in the middle part of his arm, and he doesn't have to hold his arm up, he could actually put his arm down or put his arm on his lap and just imagine that it's just going down to the center of the earth. So, yeah. Any follow-up questions? Just yell. Oh, and then we have MNRD 34. Oh man, how some of us miss those days of your podcast. Thank you. Thank you. I miss doing the show. I really do, but people just don't understand how much work it was. Just how much work. Hey, it's Pierre. Hey, Pierre. Nice to see you here. Okay. So, Brian, expansiveness of light, says, I was more so wanting to know if you could please see what is the issue I have been experiencing. Beliefs and emotions, certain foods being the issue. Well, see, now you ask the question, expansiveness of light, and I will like look into it. Hang on. Well, see, I was pretty close. So when I look at your stomach, it's like the upper muscle, kind of near your diaphragm, just feels very contracted. I feel like it creates a certain level of discomfort in you. I feel like it's not contracting, and so massaging that muscle and kind of stretching it out, taking a tennis ball and rubbing it on that area, I think would help. Uh, okay, so I'm just going to say this out loud. I just get the impression that you're just kind of sick and tired. I'm going to assume of people, of how things are. And it's like you just don't want to deal with it. And I feel like that's the emotional energy, like, oh no, not more of this crap. Excuse my way of saying that. And I feel like that's the emotional piece. Well, this is interesting. So I kind of stepped into your body there for a second, and I get the impression that you have lived a life where you have given away a lot of your energy. And I feel like at this point in time for you, it's like you don't want to do it anymore. And I feel like there are times where you find yourself surrounded by um, people that just want your energy, AKA energy vampires. And uh, it's become very uncomfortable to you. You become aware of it and it just seems uncomfortable. And there's this part of you that is experiencing guilt because you're used to projecting your energy out there, and now you've kind of pulled it in kind of in a self-preservation mode, and it feels guilty, it feels constricting, if It doesn't feel good to you. It's not how you are used to having your energy flow. So something I might suggest is to look at who or what is in your environment and see if making changes in that or becoming more conscious of how you're interacting with people and situations on a conscious level versus an unconscious level will make it so that you can have your energy, at these times, and at other times it's in a more guarded place, and it's not reacting 24/7. Okay, let's see. How am I doing? Okay, so Pat says, I've been told I see things, but I am not aware. Are my psychic powers still to be realized, or am I getting to where I need to be open to the messages? Okay, so hang on, Pat. So when we receive information on a psychic level, it's not always about seeing. And when we sit there and talk about like communicating with our guides, people think that there's going to be this auditory piece to it, but not necessarily. We receive information how we receive information. I tend to be very visual, number two, kinesthetic. And one of the more recent things has been the auditory for me. And Pat, I don't get that visual is your number one. I get that your auditory is actually more open than your visual. And so this is what I challenge people to do that are looking to develop their psychic abilities. Because it's not about developing them, it's about becoming aware to what you already have. And so, and these examples are going to sound really stupid, but you'll get my message. So if you wake up one day and you think, oh, I should take a sweater, and you don't take the sweater because you look outside and it's, gorgeous out, and you get to work and you end up in a meeting and it's freezing, or, you live in Texas and the temperature shifts from like 80 degrees to 50. It's those moments when you kind of kick yourself in the butt for not listening to yourself, or you get an impression or an idea and you just ignore it, you blow it off. um, that's what you need to start paying attention to. I thought about having taking a sweater in the morning. Okay, I didn't listen to myself, and that's okay. The awareness is that you had the thought in the morning, or if something happened. Another example is, um, you're thinking about your friend. So Pat, you're thinking about me for some strange reason you don't even know why. And then I call you up. It's like, so was that a psychic experience, or was it just your imagination? So take the imagination part out and look for the validation, look for it being realized in your life, in your everyday life, because subtle psychic experiences are very subtle. That's why they call it subtle energy and the movement of subtle energy, because it's not glaring horns and angels flying around and dead people walking in the room, which is what I thought would happen, which has never happened. Um, it is a very internalized event where you raise your awareness to what's going on inside, the images that you get, the weird messages that you get. And I'm just going to tell you, if it's a message from spirit that's auditory, they tend to be a word, they tend to be a very short phrase. It is not a conversation, ever, ever. Or it might be a feeling. And so start paying attention to those and go, wow, I was feeling that. And this was the reality of what ended up happening, and it correlates to the feeling. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so Adrian, I think I might need to come back to you on this. Dr. Rita, I haven't been able to shift chronic illness. Any insights? Okay, so Adrian, I need um, a little bit more to work with. Like what? illness, what body part. We got a lot of moving parts. And in this format, well, even when I'm working with private clients, it's like I rather just like you just spit it out. So if you could spit it out, I will be happy to respond. Okay, so Brittany says, how can I connect and grow closer to my guides? And I think the answer that I just gave Pat kind of covers that same thing because our guides talk to us in the same way, on that auditory channel. Okay. And Brittany, you're cool. You're cool. But see, it just means you need to come back. And then Mary says, yes, I remember The Sixth Sense. That was a good show. That and The Amazing Kreskin, too. Both great. So, I mean, this has been a while ago, but I still remember it. So, The Amazing Kreskin appeared in the Dallas area and I had front row seats, but then I got bumped to the second row, which was okay. And as part of his TV show, he would always have people come up on stage and whatever. And so part of this show, he had people come up on stage. Oh my God. So this is me. And it's not going to come off on this camera real well, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is me. He's like, well, we need somebody to come up on stage. And I'm like, oh, like Horshack on Welcome Back, Carter. And I got on stage. And actually, after I got to talk to him, and I talked to him for about 45 minutes, it was one of those like bucket list items to meet the amazing Kreskin. And actually, I have a 1973 autographed picture of Kreskin that I took there with me because I could. Okay. Okay. All right. So Lucy was going to post a story, and Lucy, maybe you need to do smaller chunks. It might be because this thing will only feed so much material at the same time, just FYI. And so she had made a comment about getting a degree or something. She says, my story comes of Rita. I learned one can be a scholar and be a practitioner. Little old me. Okay. And then Chris came back and said, I actually have possible stepping stones to better job and pay in my future. It was in the pro column. Okay, not exactly sure what that is. I'm assuming it's follow up to what I said, but I'm not really making that correlation, Chris. So, all right. All right. So Lucy got it here. Dr. Rita opened the door for me by letting me know that one can be a practitioner and a scholar. So I finally made it with my PhD, and I am respected as a scholar, and I'm not in the closet anymore. Woohoo! You go, girl. God, it just, the children, they just make me so happy. Okay, so Angela, I would love to answer your question, but I do not predict the future because next week you could get hit by a bus and then there would be no future. So, but if you have a more specific question where I am not speculating, but I can look at your energy dynamic, that would be great. Okay, so Chris kind of clarified. Um, but Chris, when I sit there and look, and I'm going to be a little more specific, when I sit there and I look at the current job you have and the one that you have the opportunity to move to, it's like I feel like the job you're in now is going to become a dead end. And the job you have the opportunity to move to, there's much more room for advancement. I don't know, it seems more open. And so to me, that feels more like a pro than a con. So that's my 2 cents. Okay, so Debbie says, wondering if I'm going through a midlife crisis or a spiritual awakening or what. Okay, so Debbie and I are good friends, and I'm just going to make a really smart ass comment and go, so is this like your third or fourth midlife crisis, Deb? You know, I love you. Um, okay. I mean, I feel, I'm going to put spiritual awakening, but I'm going to even shift that word into personal awakening, shifting from being there and doing everything for everyone into loving and honoring yourself. So if you want to call that a spiritual awakening, that's okay. But I feel like it is you taking your power back and you honoring yourself and moving forward. And for many people, especially people that are empaths or people pleasers or have a lot come from a family with a lot of trauma, it's like owning yourself, asking yourself, well, what do I want and what feels good to me can be really hard and bring up a lot of emotional energy, but I call that a personal change because it's about me. Um, and then you can come out the other side, like a Toby Keith song, how do you like me now? Because you're a totally different person. So yeah, personal awakening. I like that better. So Chris is here. Plus, I kind of hate what I do. Well, then it's like a done deal, dude. Take the other job. Take it. All right. Ooh, we have a new bot. This one's Lisa Distributor Lila, um, who wants to like do readings for everyone. Okay, Lisa, I'm just gonna talk about you bad. Maybe you need to get a reading why you need to like be such a bitch and come on my thing, bugging people. Okay. Oh, Chris says, I found you from the podcast as well around 7 or 8 years ago, and that's about when I stopped. Yeah, so. All right. So, Expansiveness of Light says, thank you, Dr. Rita, for the insights of giving away a lot of energy other. I love helping others spiritually, but been having more issues with lower intestine than stomach, issues with lectins. All right, hang on one second. Where's my time? See, I wish people would like be more specific and then I'm not wasting time. So some kind of a protein thing. All right. Nope, 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 nope. There I am. Okay. Um, I mean, I would respond to your question, but I'm not really sure what the lectins are, and I looked it up and it's some kind of protein, and I don't feel comfortable in really responding. When I say lectins and I put them in your large intestine, I feel like there's some kind of reaction happening, like an allergic reaction happening in that tissue. I would like to be more specific in making a response. um, Allergic reactions are allergic reactions. Now, there might be something sitting behind the reaction, but this is not really the format for me. I mean, I really have to kind of dig layers, and this really isn't that format. So, if you'd like, you can schedule a private consultation and we can kind of take this a little further. Okay. So I'm guessing, Adrian, you have fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, and anxiety. And so my commentary to you, and I'm not even going to like look at the energy on that, is to focus your energy on the anxiety. To me, fibromyalgia is the giving disease. And once you start giving to yourself and loving yourself and taking care of yourself, the fibromyalgia starts going away. But for you, I'm feeling like the anxiety uh, is the big driver in the whole thing. So working on yourself, working on getting in the flow, um, is going to help bring those systems back in order. All right. Mojo says, I'm Allie. Anyway, and been in a long job rut. My astrologer says I'm a communicator, so now I'm thinking about taking the dive into YouTube video interviews. Do either seem viable? Um, well, and I don't even like saying this, but doing like TikTok or something like that is going to get you better, faster results. YouTube, right at this point in time, you have to have like over 10,000 subscribers and you have to have over 4,000 views per month before they will let you monetize anything. So I have over 10,000 subscribers, but since I haven't been doing a podcast, my views have gone down. And so now I'm having to requalify for any kind of monetization. Um, but doing this, Momo, I'm just going to be real with you here for a minute. It's like even doing that, I mean, I think you will be successful as far as getting views and stuff like that, but it doesn't necessarily equal money, and I feel like for you, it is, you know, where you need the money part, and that's more of a long-term commitment, and not something that you do for 6 months and then get pissed off because you're not getting what you feel you should be getting out of it. And so it might be more worth your while if you're going to spend 6 months on something or a year on something with that kind of energy, going back to school and going back to a trade school where you get some tangible skills that, and a certificate that you can bank on. So Jennifer put, I love the movie Escape to Witch Mountain, which, you know what, Jennifer, I've never seen. That is where my interest started. I vividly remember practicing talking to animals and trying to communicate. That's very cool. I believe I have that skill today because of it. Well, and working with your intuition is really a skill. It's something that you should practice. Okay, so Angie wants to know, please get your insight into my future husband. So Angie, well, actually, you know what? Our time is up here today, and I know I have more questions, and I try to get through all of them really fast, but I did not. Um, but my time is up here today, but I will be back here next week. Same time, same location. If you would like to schedule a private consultation with me, please go to my webpage, Soul Healer, my newly redesigned webpage, soulhealer.com, and drop me a note. Don't forget to like Dr. Rita Louise on Facebook or subscribe to my YouTube channel, Just Energy Radio on YouTube. And so I will see you all again next week. My name is Dr. Rita Louise. Until next time, be blessed.